We turn to historian and former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. He's also a Fox News contributor. Newt, thank you for being here. He's also the host of the podcast, Newt's World. Mr. Speaker, your thoughts on Biden entering the Democratic field, and what do you think qualifies him to battle for the soul of the nation?
Well, Raymond, first of all, I really liked what you just said. I thought it was very well done. I want to divide that into two parts, though. One part is what's going to happen to Biden, and you later on are going to have the Kate Smith story on.
Yes.
And if I were Biden, and my newsletter tomorrow talks about this, I'd worry about the Kate Smith precedent.
Yeah.
She did 3,000 recordings in her career. Two of them in 1931 involved language that's racially offensive, although at the time they were popular songs. And she's had her statue taken down. They no longer use her version of God Bless America, even though the song was written at her request. If I were Biden, I'd start and say, gee, how many different things have I done in my career that are going to just rise up and bite me because they no longer make sense today? I think that's going to be remarkable, and I think it'll frankly destroy his candidacy. But I think he raised the right question, and I want to take it head on. We are in a battle for the soul of America. On the one side, you have a party that believes babies can be killed after they're born. Well, that's a pretty definitional position. You have a party which believes you should have no right to buy personal insurance. That's a pretty definite position. You have a party whose front runner now says we ought to allow terrorists, the Boston bomber, rapists, murderers to vote while still in jail. That's a pretty clear position. You have a party which says we should have no border controls, no walls, and open borders. So I think this fight, I actually do believe 2020 is a fight over the soul of America and which version of America we're going to go forward with.
Mr. Speaker, I need to ask you about a huge missing endorsement for Joe Biden. Watch this.
If you are the best choice for the Democrats in 2020, why didn't President Obama endorse you?
I asked President Obama not to endorse, and he doesn't want to. Whoever wins this nomination should win it on their own merits.
Is that really what happened, do you think, Mr. Speaker, or is he trying to save face?
Well, I don't think we have any idea at this point. First of all, I don't think that President Obama endorsing Joe Biden would carry a dramatic amount of weight because, after all, he was the vice president for 8 years. I mean, what would be terrible would be if President Obama endorsed anybody else. So I think in that sense it's kind of, it's kind of a wash. But look, the challenge that Joe Biden has is that there's no positive, visionary, moral reason for this guy to come out of retirement and offer himself to the country. And part of what he's going to discover, and I think this is actually a great irony, Biden's entire career is trying to be sort of a middle-of-the-road, bipartisan, good old boy, representing blue-collar workers, etc. He's now in a party which despises every single thing I just described. And I think he's in for a huge shock when he runs into the left wing of the Democratic Party, because they don't want to argue with him. They just want to wipe him out. They have no interest in a dialogue with him. They just want to get rid of him.
Mr. Speaker, I want to run something by you. Chris Christie said today that the last election was basically determined in a handful of Rust Belt states, and 80,000 votes made all the difference. He sees Joe Biden as a real competitor to the president. Do you?
No.
No.
I don't.
Why not?
If the economy, well, first of all, if the economy continues, and it probably will, this president's going to go into the general election next year with the lowest black unemployment in history, the lowest Latino unemployment in history, the lowest female unemployment in history, with an economy which has improved dramatically, the pensions and the retirement and the wealth of virtually every American. And he's going to be able to offer a very simple choice. Would you like to continue to have America once again move towards greatness, or do you really want to hang out with a bunch of left-wing nutcakes who, and Biden's not going to get the nomination unless he's willing to try to be the grandfather of the left-wing nutcakes. I mean, he's not going to win some fight for the control of the Democratic Party. He doesn't have the base for it. He doesn't have the muscle for it. Frankly, he doesn't have the skill for it. And I think the left wing of their party verges on insanity. So you're going to have a choice next year, almost like 1972 or 1984, of an incumbent who has a good economy, who makes sense, who's doing things that are practical, and a Democratic opponent so trapped into left-wing ideas that for the average American, they're just not going to be an acceptable choice.
Moments ago told Sean Hannity this when he reacted to Biden jumping into the race. Watch.
If you look at Joe, I've known Joe over the years. He's not the brightest light bulb in the group, I don't think, but he has a name that they know. He's coming on with some little cute statements about me that he talked about the way the world is today. When Biden makes the statement talking about the soul, I mean, the soul, take a look at the Obama. You know, I heard somebody say before that there was such dissension and division. People forget there was tremendous division during the Obama administration.
Your reaction, Newt?
Well, look, I think that's a very good thing to fight over. I mean, the truth is, under Obama's leadership for 8 years, the Democratic Party collapsed nationally. They lost 4,000 seats in state legislatures. They lost governorships. They lost the Senate. They lost the House. Underneath the pleasantness of the Obama personality, you had a country repudiating them in virtually every election. And I think the problem Biden's got is, first of all, he doesn't stand for any vision of the future. Second, he's not going to be able to defend Obama against the left. Remember, the left regards both Obama and the Clintons as sellouts. So the left is over here now. I just was looking, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but the Amherst College book of definitions, which is hysterical, captures in one short set of definitions how weird the left is becoming. And I think that Biden and his team have almost no idea what's going to come at him from the left, because the left is going to say to him, first of all, he's old, he's white, he's male.
Well, we're going to get into all of that in a moment. Mr.
Wolf.
Speaker, I thank you so much for being here. I'm sorry we're out of time.
Counting down now to 2020, our next guest has been wowed by Andrew Yang, the Democratic presidential candidate who wants a universal basic income. He's admired Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard's bravery on foreign policy. She's also running for president. And he's wondered if President Trump is trying to lose the White House. Tucker Carlson, the host of Tucker Carlson Tonight, and star of all kinds of other things, best-selling author and blah, blah, blah. There's so much there.
Impressive.
Thank
you for having me.
It is great to have you. I want to talk to you, because you've talked to a lot of these 2020 contenders. I want to play a little bit of your back and forth with Andrew Yang.
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll discuss.
My friends in Silicon Valley are working on trucks that can drive themselves, because that's where the money is, where we can save tens, even hundreds of billions of dollars by trying to automate that job. But I was just with truck drivers in Iowa last week. It's going to be a disaster for many, many American communities.
You're one of the only people I've ever met who's honest about the effects of deindustrialization.
No, I'm not assuming you're going to vote for him, but you agree with him on this point.
Well, I definitely vote for a candidate like that. I mean, I don't agree with everything he says. I don't know all of his views, but I can't think of many more people on either side who are thinking more deeply about what the actual problems are. Automation, by every estimate, will eliminate a huge percentage of jobs in the United States at exactly the moment when we're importing millions of new people every year to fill jobs that probably won't exist 3 years from now or 10 years from now. It's lunatic, and nobody's saying anything about it other than Andrew Yang. I'm not sure why it's falling to him, but I don't care. I want somebody to tell the truth about it.
So you're worried about the jobs, not this whole AI worry that people have, like the robots are going to come eat us and kill us.
Well, I think there's no question that...
Or is that a problem too?
Oh, it's a massive problem. Of course, because anybody running a business wants to eliminate labor costs, or reduce them to the extent possible. That's the imperative of the market. There's no sin in that, but it's real, and we can't pretend otherwise. And so we often will say, we need more workers for agriculture. It's like they don't know anything about agriculture, actually. Very few parts of the ag economy aren't automated now. No, it's a completely real thing. By the way, lawyers, physicians, Huge sectors of white-collar America are about to be overturned by AI, and nobody is talking about it because Russia!
I refuse to see a robot doctor. I'm just going on the record with that. I will not have my temperature taken by a robot.
No.
Okay, so let's talk about Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard also running. You guys have talked foreign policy. Here's a bit of that.
They refuse to engage on the substance of this argument about why they continue to push for and try to wage these regime change wars, ignoring the disastrous consequences on the people in those countries and the American people.
We disagree on many things, but I admire your bravery for saying that out loud.
So, bravery for saying it out loud, or do you agree with some of her philosophy on that?
I agree strongly. And she was just attacked on this channel by one of her anchors the other day for going to Syria, because that's bad because Assad is bad.
There is the issue that she's had. Then a lot of people have criticized her being praiseworthy of him or spending time with him.
Let me praise Assad then. Let me be totally clear about it. A lot of things Assad does that are wrong. Assad protected the religious minorities within that country, as his father did, for many decades. It had a huge and vibrant Christian community. That is something good that Assad did. We've backed regime change against Assad, and what has happened to those Christians? Well, many have been murdered and many have fled the country. So, like, that's a real thing to praise about Assad. She did, and she got called all kinds of names for it. I think that's unfair.
Okay, now, Pete Buttigieg. A lot of the media totally in love with him, has described him as chicken soup for my soul. You said that was that they want to consume him like a hearty stew. That was a step too far for you.
Just the whole thing. I mean, Buddha judge? I thought Buddha doesn't judge, but I guess in some cases Buddha doesn't.
Boot-edge.
Okay, boot-edge. Okay. There was a former flack for Jeb Bush on another channel who was going on about Pete Buttigieg is chicken soup for my soul, and we just played the clip, and it was just so nauseating. I couldn't resist responding by saying what I did. Just the sucking up, the fawning is so disgusting.
You know who's the most mad though? Probably Beto. Francis O'Rourke.
Of course. He thought, I thought I was your boyfriend, thought Beto.
Right.
So Beto has this week where everyone worships Beto. He's RFK. And then Pete Buttigieg shows up, and all of a sudden it's like, Beto who? No, I agree. I mean, both of them are kind of substance-free characters. Whoever gets the nomination, I can tell you it's going to be one tough human being, because only tough people get the nomination of either party. Are these guys ready for it? I have no idea, but just watching the media suck up to politicians just always turns my stomach.
Not surprising, Tucker, because you call it like you see it. You do, all the time. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you. Come back again soon. In the meantime, we'll see you at 8 o'clock every night.